Hello, hello, Diana here. I am so excited that you're visiting my channel again, and I have got a story for you. I've got a ton of crashes. I try to make these videos kind of a crash and a lesson learned. Let me tell you, there are more crashes than you can count on this one. More crashes than you can count. But the wings, hold on, the wings look an awful lot like this. So if you want to hear about all the crashes that led to these, grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's get to story time. Okay. You know how they say that need, well, I don't know if they say, and who is they anyway? Is that the cousin to them? Don't you always think when people say that or all of them? I don't know who they and them are, but what I say is need is the seed to invention. Need, I don't know if that came out right, but either way, you get it. So, years ago, actually around middle to the end of 2018, I decided I needed to create a book because I had spiral notebooks across my desk. I had journals near a chair that I write at all the time that I call my pause chair, which was my grandfather's chair. So I had journals at my pause chair, journals up in my room. I have a planner, which I call a day timer because back in my day, that's the kind of planner I carried, was called a day timer. So I had my day timer. So I had planners, spiral notebooks everywhere, journals everywhere. None of my stuff was ever in the same spot all the time. And I thought, I want, like, during a day, I take notes on stuff. Well, then I have to search a bunch of spiral notebooks to try to find where I took my notes. So years ago, I thought I want to create a book that is a journal, a planner, and notes all in one book. And I was going to call it my balance book. And the reason that I call it my is not that it's my book, but it is my book. But the object of my is that whoever holds it, it's theirs. So if Jan is holding this book and you say, Jan, what is that? She'll say, it's my balance book. So that's why I use the my, is it's a positive affirmation that the book belongs to whoever's holding it. And I love that. So that was the biggest thing for me. So I was so excited to create this book. And then it started. I started doing research. I started watching YouTube videos to learn stuff, and I came across a blog. You guys are going to laugh because if you look right up there in the window, you can see one of my horses. My horses are loose on the property, and they're right there in my front yard eating. But anyhow, so I was in my search to figure out how to even write a book, and it wasn't a matter of writing a book. I thought I wanted to write a book years ago. Come to find out I can't write. So it's not really to write a book, but I thought, well, you have to design it because you have to have times and lines and all that stuff. And so I didn't know how to do that. So I started by just researching. And my thought is you can learn anything between Google and YouTube. Just give yourself a few minutes every day to look into it. So as I was playing around looking into it, I came across a blog post of a woman. Here's the weird part. The woman ended up that she lives in Spokane. So how I came across her blog post, I don't know. But she had made a journal for herself one time. And she said if she could do it again, she would use a program called InDesign. And I thought, ooh, InDesign for journal writing. Okay. So then I go down the rabbit hole of learning InDesign. And holy smokes, was that a journey. So InDesign is very sophisticated. It's how people make magazines. It's how newspapers create their newspapers. So it's not usually for a layman who just wants to put together a doodle. So I started learning. And by started learning, I would stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I would go out on a date with my boyfriend and leave the date in the evening, 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And I'd come home and hop back on the computer and be watching videos, to the point where, to learn InDesign, I remember one specific thing. I had to learn to put the lines. Because if you're going to do a planner, you need lines. If you want journal, you need lines to write, because I can't stand unlined paper because I don't like writing crooked. So the planner, the journal, and the planner, journal, and notes all needed lines. It took me, I'd say a day, maybe a day and a half, to figure out how to space the lines and make the lines and all that. So if you're thinking you just learn a few, watch a few videos and learn how to do InDesign, you're sadly mistaken. It's not that easy. It is not a user-friendly program. It is a program for pros. That being said, there isn't anything that you can't learn on YouTube. So I would literally say how to create a line on InDesign, and a line would come up. And then I would have to say how to create a planner on InDesign, and that would teach me the planning portion. And then I'd have to learn the journal portion. So I actually learned, some headers and some lines. But prior to learning how to do this, this is my idea of a rough draft. See, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to make the lines. So I took lined paper, photocopied it, and cut it. And then I would hand write what I wanted, and then I'd have these lines. And that's how it started. And so then I kind of got a little bit better and a little bit better, and it was a journey, to the point where I thought, oh my gosh, I think I've done it. I think it took me probably 9 months, 6 to 9 months, maybe even a little longer than 9 months, of literally all day, every day, days without showers, because I was involved in trying to figure out how to change a font. And then I'm into months of this, and I discovered that there's different ways I could have made master pages to make life easier. There's all kinds of stuff. But anyhow, it was a journey. About 9 months into it, I believe, I finally take it. I'm so excited. And I have it. I don't even have my little doohickey here, but the little thumb drive. So I put the whole thing on a thumb drive, and I'm so excited. So I go to printers, and I'm like, okay, I created this in InDesign, and it's on this little thumb drive. I need a printer quote. And one of the printers made me feel really good. She goes, well, who created it on InDesign? Actually, all of them asked, who created it on InDesign? And I'm like, well, I did. She goes, really? Because InDesign is a degree. People actually go to college to get a degree in InDesign so they can create things in InDesign. I'm like, oh, well, I went to YouTube University. And so all the printers were impressed, which made me feel really good that it was created in InDesign. But when it came time to giving me quotes, their quotes were like $56 a book. And I thought, oh my gosh, well, I can't sell books for $56. Nobody's going to spend $56. And actually $56 would be my cost. So then I would have to charge more than that. So I thought, well, that's not going to work. And then I go to another printer, and they sat me down. Two gentlemen sat me down to tell me that my idea was too big. That did not impress me, to be told that my dreams were too big. So I thought they were crazy, and I thought they were that the job was too big for them, and they were trying to talk me out of my dream. And so, very indignant, I went to different printers and kind of got the same vibe from the printers. It was going to be way more expensive than the book could sell for. What I didn't understand is that, and then I went to a local printer that I really liked. When I was in real estate, he used to make the business cards for all of us realtors. So I had work with him in the past, and I asked him for help. He looked at it, same thing. Who created this in InDesign? Because that's kind of a sophisticated program for you to have done it. And I'm like, I did it. I did it on YouTube University. And so he looks at it and he says, well, it can be done, but it's pretty big. It's a pretty big file. And I thought, well, he can help. I mean, if the things need to be tweaked here and there. He's like, oh no, I can probably put it together, but it's a pretty big file. So I was all excited to use him. Then I get a call from him, and he says he has a friend who has been working on a book for 25 years. 25 years his friend has been working on writing a book. Here Diana wants him to do her print job, and he has to call to say, my friend's book is finally done, so I'm going to have to focus all my attention on his book. So he couldn't do my print job. I was like, oh man. So I went to a couple printers. Like I said, prices were too high. So I thought, okay, fine. I am just going to print it out because I want to see a proof. I want to see what this looks like. I have no concept of what it really looks like other than I'm looking at it on a computer screen. In my head, it's magnificent. Well, let me tell you. I went to Staples. So proud of myself with my little thumb drive. And I want them to print out my balance book, which is a combination, again, of notes, planner, and journaling. So it's all in one place. Because I think everybody's life needs a little balance. That's where I got the title, My Balance Book. A good life is a balance between, work and play and family and spirituality and happiness and leisure and self. So a balance. So that's what I thought the book would be. So I go get it printed. See how big this is? This is only a third of it. I actually threw two-thirds of it out because it was just too much paper to keep around, and I got discouraged, and so I saved about this much of it. The book ended up absolutely humongous. It was an entire ream of paper. So I bought a big 3-ream binder, and I put it in there, and I took it to my car, and I looked at it and thought, nobody's going to write in this. It's way easier to write in a small spiral or a small journal or a small planner, because 3 small things still didn't end up this thick like a ream of paper. And mind you, it weighed about 5 pounds. So basically, in conclusion, what the printers, when they were telling me the project was too big, they literally meant too big. It's too big to make a book. So the original book of my balance book did not come to fruition. I got discouraged and kind of went by the wayside and did other things. And the thing about YouTube University is it's really easy to go down rabbit holes and find other things. So all of a sudden, when I got discouraged with the journal, I noticed that as I was learning other things, I was doing other things. So I started chasing the dollar. I started seeing on YouTube all these different fun ideas to try, and I'd run down that rabbit hole. I mean, I did ClickFunnels. I read books and stuff on ClickFunnels, Shopify stores, drop shipping, all of that. But I was chasing the money because my heart had been broken, honestly. And I was discouraged. And all along, my boyfriend kept saying, well, what about that journal? What about that journal? When are you going to work on that journal, Diana? And I kept saying, once I've earned some money, I gotta earn some money right now. I'll follow my heart later. Right now I'm chasing the buck. I'll follow my heart later. And I didn't do anything with it. At the end of 2019, I reviewed a journal that I had finished. I think it was like November or December of 2019. I'd filled a spiral notebook. So I always go back and look them over. Well, I looked it over and I realized that in about October, November of 18, I was talking about this journal. And then you can see all through my journal, me referencing everything I'm learning and InDesign and going to printers and all my excitement. And then you see I don't ever put anything negative in a journal, but I had printed out a proof. And then the next thing you know, I'm not referring to my journal at all anymore in the journal as I was reading it. I'm not the journal, but the book, excuse me. I wasn't referring to my balance book at all. And I could see myself getting excited in review of all these other things. And I'm reading it and I realized at the end of 2019, I hadn't accomplished anything, let alone not my balance book wasn't done. But I had chased a dollar instead of following my heart and I had accomplished nothing. And so I thought, oh my gosh, before the end of the year, I decided at that point that there's a reason that there are not journals, notes, and planners all in one book, because it would just, for me, as much as I like to write, it would make too big of a book. So then I decided that I wanted it done by the end of the year, but I was just going to do a journal. I'm just going to start with a journal. I decide I'm going to have to run like crazy to make up for lost time, and I don't have time to go figure out the InDesign again and do all that stuff. So I thought I would pay somebody. So I had learned this on the internet, go to Upworks. I hire people online. I got quotes. They saw the project. Everybody said they could do the project. Everybody gives me a price. So I go with this woman because I'm big into empowering women. And I love that women are out contributing and earning. And I love women, empowering women. So I chose a gal that I really liked, thought, oh my gosh, she's going to be fantastic. And she did some stuff. And I realized the first proofs that she sent me, we weren't on the same page. So we get on the phone. I'm like, I don't think we're seeing things the same, because I sent her like a list of edits and maybe like 1 or 2 were done instead of the list. And then she submitted payment for her hours at InDesign. So make a long story short, she collected the money, because in InDesign, it's interesting. You put, or not in InDesign, excuse me, in Upworks, you put your money in an escrow. So the money's there. And then as they complete their task, they take money out of it. So my money was there. So she filed that she completed the tasks and paid herself. Consequently, the work wasn't done yet. And I thought, well, that's okay. She'll finish it. No. She didn't. She took the money. And then when I said, okay, well, we've got this string of edits that need to be done. And her response was, you know what? I'm busy on a couple other projects now. I'll get to yours in the next week or so. So here I am trying to hustle to finish this at the end of the year, so I didn't feel like 2019 was a complete loss, and this blows up in my face. So the beauty of it is, though, is that a little bit got done, and it was enough that it got me excited again. And so then I put a thing out on Facebook. I find another creative editor. She came highly recommended, and I adored her. She would come over, I would have fancy coffee made for her, and we would laugh and giggle, and she's creative. And she comes over and she says, Diana, I read your intro. And when I came to meet you, I got to admit, because the intro was written by me, she goes, I've got to admit, I expected somebody kind of quiet spoken, wearing flowers. I don't get your personality from your writing at all. I was like, oh. Well, I don't want anybody to think I'm soft-spoken wearing flowers. It's just not me. I am not a wallflower. So she rewrote my intro, and she added things from an interview. She was here interviewing me, talking to me the first time, and she added a few things to my intro about me that are things I wouldn't have even thought to point out. So I was thrilled with her, thrilled. And she came over a few times. We got some edits done, and we had agreed on a price for the whole project. And we submitted the book for an online printer, because then at this point, print jobs, I had done enough research. I was just going to do it myself through an online printer. So we submit it. And I thought, we knew there would be edits that needed done after it got done at the online printer, but we wanted to wait for the book to come. And I'd felt like she had worked hard enough that I wanted her to get paid. And I trusted that she would do further edits afterward. I'm not the best judge of character. I have too much trust. And I paid her. And when the book came back, obviously there was, a handful of things that needed to be changed. And COVID reared its ugly head. She did not have COVID, but she had a cough. And so she says, Diana, I won't be able to get to the edits for a month or so. She tested for COVID. She goes, I'm afraid I might have COVID. She tested for COVID. No, she didn't have COVID. She had a lack of work ethic and wouldn't get the final edits done. And I thought, oh my gosh, here I am again. I have paid 2 people at this point. I still do not have a finished project. I'm thinking, why is this not working? But I'll tell you, I kept praying to God, use me. I don't know what kind of tool, what I have to offer, but use me to help others. I feel that that's what I'm here for. That's when I feel like I've got purpose, is if I'm helping someone else, if they're able to talk to me, or if I'm helping other people. That's where my purpose is. And my boyfriend is reminding me along the way that that's who I want to be. Somebody that encourages somebody else is my calling, and that I needed to follow that. But every time I tried something, it blew up in my face. And I remember a Joel Osteen always saying that victory comes after adversity. So nobody's against you when you're not close to victory. But right before the victory is when it gets really hard and it is a lot of adversity, and then victory shows its head. So I remember telling people all during this journey, victory's got to be right around the corner, because I have had plenty of adversity. So she goes MIA to the point where she's not returning texts, not returning calls. She's not going to do the edits. So my last ditch effort, I get on and I think I'll make the edits myself. Well, mind you, it's been over a year since I've jumped into InDesign to do anything. So I was going to have to, and I didn't have my subscription anymore to it. So I had to redo my subscription, and I had to try to I had to download that and the fonts, and it was just a nightmare. I spent a week drowning in this nightmare trying to relearn this and fix someone else's document, and it's just overwhelming to me. Alrighty, I'm going to finish the story real quick because I got interrupted yesterday. So I'm coming at you a little more colorful today. If you'll notice, I look a lot like my cover. Hard to tell, purple's my favorite, right? So anyhow, in the making of the journals, the last editor goes MIA. As soon as she gets paid, she's out of here. So I make a last ditch effort to call the local printer, who, mind you, couldn't do my job when it was this thick because a friend of his had written a book. Second time, he's going to do it when I decide it's going to be a journal, and he can't do it because he gets too ill to be able to work. Seriously, too ill to work. I don't know what kind of medical issues he had. His wife called me to tell me he couldn't complete the job. He wasn't going to be doing any work for a while. So a last ditch effort, when at this point I had a proof of this done from an online printer. So I only had a small handful of edits left that the previous woman would not finish. Lack of work ethic. And so I got a hold of him and called and said, "How you feeling? Are you back to work?" And he goes, "Actually, yes. All my health issues are fine. I am back to work. I actually have a clear enough load I can do your project. Let's get this going, Diana." And I thought, okay. So I tried to make the edits myself, completely unsuccessfully, work at it for about a week. Finally, I call him and I said, "Okay, here are the 5 edits I have left. If I give you the document, can you just make those for me?" Of course he can. But, it costs me. So at this point, I'm paying 3 people to get the job done. He gets it done, like instantly. It seriously took 2 rounds of edits, and he got it done. And I could not be more thrilled. The work he did was just, the quality altogether is so much better than an online printer. Not only that, there is a lot to be said for working with somebody local. It just is. It's supporting other small businesses and people in your own community. It makes you feel a lot better than you'd think. A lot of people think, oh, I would get it printed with whoever was the cheapest. No, I love the fact that I can just call and ask questions, and I know he does absolutely beautiful, beautiful work. So the quality, you might not know because y'all just get to see the finished product. Trust me, it was some pretty sketchy stuff between here and this. So these are amazing. They ended up being just journal, and they are called My Best Life for the same reason. So whoever holds this book and you ask what it is, they say it's My Best Life. I get goosebumps at the story that it's taken almost 2 years to get this in the hands of people. But at the very top of every single page, it says My Best Life. So every day when someone opens it, they know they are physically writing their best life. So that's the story of how these beauties came about. And I couldn't be more proud. And I get so much on social media. I haven't even advertised them, and this one sold out in a week and a half, so I have another order of these. But I'm just so blessed to be able to be helping people on a regular basis, and the feedback I'm getting from them is amazing. And I watch videos of people that have them talking about how it's affecting their days, and I kid you not, I get goosebumps. And I'm just doing what I was meant to do. This is me helping. This is how I contribute to people, helping them with their day. So there you have it. Every crash known to man, every adversity I could come across, but my wings look a lot like these. Here's another cool thing. So now that you've heard kind of the story of how my Best Life journal has been designed and created and la 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 la, so proud of these, a complete heart project. Here's another really cool feature of them. Journals are usually all 90 days. And they're not dated. So if you skip, so there's the date right here, you write it in. So if you skip a week here or there, or you skip a couple days, or you miss a weekend, or you miss a day, that's okay. You're not going to be wasting any space. Another really cool thing, there's a lot of times where I do my gratitude in the morning, I do my excitement and ideas, I write my intentions like your I am statements. A top task of the day, I love that. Pick the one most important thing you've got to get done in a day. For example, completing this YouTube video was the one thing I was supposed to do yesterday. And as you can tell from the change of outfit, I only got it half done yesterday. But at least you're focusing on the one task, and it really makes a huge difference. Then this is a really cool feature. There is a quote every single day, and then a different quote, and then it asks what that quote makes you think about. I think that is so powerful because there's so much wisdom to be learned from other people's lives and lessons and things like that. And so, and there's a great intro to the book. It is dedicated to my boyfriend, Todd, because as I said in this video, all along as I kept chasing rabbit holes, he kept saying, what about that book? What about that book, Diana? Isn't that what you want to be doing? So finally, after almost 2 years, I followed my heart, and it's impacting a lot of people. And that's the impact I think that I'm supposed to make. That's what made me follow my heart instead of follow my dollar. Here's the cool thing is, they're selling like hotcakes. So I started to follow my heart and help people, and I'm getting the dollar instead of chasing the dollar for no reason other than needing the dollar. So follow your hearts. Everything else will fall in place. Stay true to you. Stay true to what nudges you. If you've got a dream in your head and it doesn't let you go and you're nudged toward it and nudged toward it, follow the nudge. I'm telling you, by the end of this project, I was so determined to get it done. Even if for nothing else, I was going to write in one. And I would literally pray saying, okay, I feel you nudging me, but I keep coming across so much adversity that I think I'm not supposed to be doing this, but yet my heart was still feeling the nudge. So I don't even know how to explain it, but somehow I knew this was what I was supposed to do, and it's impacting people. So that's the story of how my Best Life journal came about. And the nice thing, that's what I was going to say, is the nice thing about it not being dated is a lot of people are choosing to write their gratitude in the mornings, and then they'll write again in the evenings. So use it however it benefits your life the most. Stay grateful and stay focused. That's what it's intended for. With that, I want you guys to go live your best life. And if you can't afford a book, they are $29.95 free shipping. Just visit my website. There'll be a link down in the comments. And if you can't afford a spiral or a journal, grab a spiral. Just grab a spiral and still be journaling and still be learning and still be grateful and intentional each day. So, with that, I hope everybody has a great time creating your best life because you're worth it, you deserve it, and I told you to. So, with that being said, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, stay surrounded by loved ones, and most of all, stay grateful for all of your blessings. Thank you so much. These two covers, as awesome as they are limited edition. They will never be seen again. So every 3 months, I will